Welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So this week I want to dig in a little bit to how to spot a job search scam. There are a lot of them out there right now, y'all, and it is heartbreaking. I've known several people who have fallen for these things, and sometimes it's hard to tell, what's legit, what's real, what's reasonable information to ask for. It can be very tricky. I would say first general rule of thumb, and this probably goes for all areas of life, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You are probably not going to make $100 an hour stuffing envelopes in your home, right? There's some things that are just more obvious than others, I guess. I don't know. But unfortunately, with the rise of LinkedIn and the rise of digital communication and we're relying so heavily on email and some of these non face-to-face kind of mechanisms to hire, it's very, very easy, especially for job seekers that are not super computer literate or haven't spent a ton of time online, very easy to fall for some of these scams or fall into that trap of sending too much personal information, paying for equipment that never materializes, things like that. So I've identified a handful of things that I think are at least a general starting point for how to identify something that's maybe a scam. And so let's walk through it together, hopefully give you all some food for thought and at least some ways to verify that the opportunity that you're chasing is legit. So partially inspired by a LinkedIn pal of mine who sent over some information from a staffing agency that was asking for quite a lot of personal information. They were not comfortable sharing this. I don't think it was a good idea either. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that story and then again, just kind of some general guidelines that will hopefully be helpful. So in this instance, this individual was contacted by a staffing agency and they had a specific, contracting role. It was it wasn't a Java developer, I don't think, but let's just pretend it was. Okay, that just came to mind. So, it's Java developer making $110 an hour or something. And the first step, so my friend had not spoken with anyone. They literally got an in-mail message on LinkedIn. We have this requirement. Here's, the details of the job, which were very sparse. And here's a form for you to fill out if you're interested. Okay. So this is literally a Word doc or maybe a PDF form that could be filled out. And it asked for lots of personal information. Full name, address, social security number, birth date, all the things you might need to, apply for a credit card online. And so red flag number one, no contact information or a way to get in touch with this person outside of this in-mail that came from someone who had a very sparse profile. So number one, there's no really good identifying information to verify that this is a real person. So my friend's looking at this and is like, this seems like a lot of information to share. I don't know if this is legit, And thankfully, that's about the time that they contacted me. And so I took a look at it and I was immediately suspicious because I'm like, okay, nobody needs your social security number at this point. You haven't even applied yet. They haven't even gotten on a phone call with you. Don't give them your social security number. So I started digging in to this organization. And, they had a website. Kinda. It was a very bare bones website. And so I'm doing all of this digging and I'm doing all of this Google research and I'm, trying to find founder names and I'm trying to find matching up addresses with business licenses and stuff. And I was coming up short. Y'all, I'm a professional recruiter. I can find anything. Okay. Let me tell you, I found my kid at his friend's house because he said, I'm going to so-and-so's house. I don't know who so-and-so is or where, whatever. My kid doesn't come home, and he's like 9 at the time. He's like a little guy, right? This is years and years ago. So I searched my email for the boy's name, his little buddy's name, and I found an email thread from his t-ball coach, because he named all of our emails like Josh's mom, Mary's dad, and so on. So I find the kid's name, so-and-so's dad. Okay, click on the email. Start reverse looking up the email. Tied it back to a company. Company's incorporated at this address. Da-da-da-da-da. I found their house. Okay, I'm just letting you know. When Mama was scared and couldn't find her boy, you best believe she put her FBI hat on. So if someone like me could not find verifiable data about this company, that's a massive red flag. So I shared this, with my friend, and I kind of said, look, I found this, might be legit. I found that, makes me nervous that it's not. Red flag number 2, we just could not find any actual documentation. Okay? So my friend, of course, decides I'm not going to pursue this job. This is not a good idea, and moved on with their lives. So that's the kind of stuff I want you to watch out for. A bona fide opportunity, unless it is a 1099 contractor in which you are paying your own taxes and you are responsible for yourself, there is no employment related issues that this organization needs to worry about. They do not need all of this detail until you are at an offer stage. Of course, at that point, they need your social security number and verify you are who you are. That makes sense. But at that point, you've hopefully filled out a legally binding application, you've provided information through a safe portal, and you've gotten, some kind of conversation, video call or at least phone call with a potential manager and gone through an actual interview process. So in the absence of those things, I want you to be very, very cautious about investing too much time and certainly giving up too much information to a person or organization that you cannot confidently verify is real. Most recruiters are going to have a company email address. I have always had an @company.com email. Even when I was an agency recruiter, I was still at agencyname.com. It was a verifiable website. So that's definitely one thing you should look for. If somebody's emailing you from a Gmail account and is pretending to be a professional, look, recruiting in yogapants.com cost me $12 a year. Okay, you can get a domain. They're not that expensive. Okay, so there's no excuse for a professional, especially a company, to not have a verifiable business email. So watch out for that. Finally, I think the biggest flag of all for me was the way that they were requesting this information was not safe. They wanted this person to put all of this information in a Word doc, in a file that could be saved, forwarded, printed, shared. Now, granted, if you're applying online, yes, Zozo, if you're applying online and you're, entering your information, if somebody really nefarious is on the back end of it, yeah, sure, they could screenshot and print or whatever. But it's unlikely, right? There's security protocols and policies and things, so generally speaking, that's okay. But if it feels off, if it feels like you're giving too much information too soon, if the mechanism for getting the information seems shady, and most importantly, if you're not getting specific clarity from a real person with a proven business, it might be a scam. So I want y'all to be careful out there. I know as this ludicrous job market continues to just suck and pull us all down, I know it's really, really easy to get excited about an opportunity that might seem too good to be true. Please protect yourself. Please protect your friends. Watch out for these online scams. People are terrible. I'm so sorry that this is happening, but please, please, please do take the steps to safeguard yourself and your personal information. All right? I hope that helps y'all. Kind of a downer this week, but it felt important to talk about. So hope it gave you some clarity and some questions to ask before you fall into a scammer's hands. All right, we'll see you next week.